hooked up, Catherine? Ready to go. It's just after 10 o'clock, so given the time, I will call this meeting to order. I think we have everyone here. Dan, can you hear us online?
I sure can.
Okay, good. That's 10 of us. You're looking good. Good. Okay, we can. We have minutes presented or in our files for June the 20th, 2024. Are there any errors or omissions noted with regard to those minutes? And if not, a motion to approve them as circulated. Neil, all in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Call for post-agenda items. Is there anything we need to add post-agenda? We're good? Okay. Seeing none, if someone has a motion to approve the agenda as circulated, Greg? Okay. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. I will note that at 11 a.m. we have Victoria from Grasslands FCSS will be with us, and also at 10:15 Todd will be coming in for our Ag Service Board presentation item. Are there any questions or notices of motion for us this morning? Seeing none, we will move on. Let's go to item number 9, administrative business. Item number 9.1, the Veterans Memorial Highway Association consideration for membership. As per our last meeting, Greg and I attended the annual meeting of Veterans Memorial Highway Association in Castor Friday 2 weeks ago, right? Almost 2 weeks ago. It was a good meeting, although just a business meeting or an annual meeting. So but I think it was good to connect. Greg, do you have any comments with regard to it? And
yeah, the meeting was. There wasn't really any pressing issues, but they, for bang for the buck, and the. Being on that committee or being part of that organization, I'm thinking it would be a really good idea. Brooks is on that. John Petrie was there, and they really they're looking at doing some big things along that Highway 36 corridor all the way up to Fort McMurray, and it involves all the counties and all the municipalities are invited to be on this board or be on as part of the organization. The cost is right now it's 10 cents per capita per person. So it would cost us around $700, but they're looking at increasing that on their next budget to 15 cents. For $1,000, it's well worth the. We're well worth it, I think. I don't know what you think, Arnold.
Yeah, excuse me. I mean, clearly the meeting that we attended was just the AGM, but I think it was good to be there. I think they acknowledged also that through COVID, things had gone sideways on them, and they've lost some membership as well. The other thing that we talked about, and I've mentioned, I don't know if Holly and I have talked about it, but I did talk to Doug from PEP that I think it would be worthwhile for PEP to join too. They would like that too, and they're talking about some activities to raise the ante. And we talked a lot about highlighted what we thought was the importance of trying to get passing lanes as a priority north of Tabor. Let's say between Highway 1 and Highway 36, and that's maybe the part of the highway that we drive more frequently from the county. But for example, at Viking, they have like up to 40 trains on the CN line there a day, and often backs traffic up because they get long trains and there's no frontage ahead of the, so there are issues along the Highway 36 corridor. So I agree with Greg that it's probably worth being part of. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the dynamic of Highway 36 is key to a lot of what we talk about in terms of economic development and other things too. So it's probably a good connection, and I think that's what we're asking or suggesting, that we join that again. Neil.
I think it's a really good idea for that basic little bit of money.
Yeah.
And I mean, just last week, there's another fatality north of Tabor on a 36. They happen all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for $1,000, let's do it.
Do we have that as I'm just looking at her, thanks, Neil. Holly?
Just curious, there are 9 municipalities or towns represented on that annual meeting. Is that all there are members at this point, is just 9, or is there some who didn't attend?
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's 9 municipalities, but it's growing, and they've got a push now to increase that quite a bit more. There's a definite push from the board to increase the numbers. COVID really hurt this committee, this organization quite a bit. So now that COVID is behind us and we're moving forward, and I think that's one of the reasons why County of Newell left also was just right around that COVID time. So yeah, they're looking to increase the numbers all the way up from Fort Mac all the way down to the Coots border. So because our neighbors to the south, the Tabor is a part of it. Tabor, the MD of Tabor anyway, and Paint Earth, the counties to the north are part of this organization. So, and with the landfill and maybe Sewa and maybe the overpass at Highway 1 and Highway 36 that we want to definitely promote. This is the type of people that we want to be in connection with. They're also talking about having hospitality rooms and things at RMA. So they're having probably a booth at RMA and a hospitality room for people to go to, and getting more and more exposure for that alternative to Highway 2 corridor to the north. So
Thanks, Greg. Lynette, and then Kelly, please.
Do they do the meetings on Zoom? Because I saw that the next meeting's in Lac La Biche.
Yes, and there wasn't a large contingent of people in the room. There was only like less than 10 municipal representatives there. I think they appreciated us actually being there, and I think for what we were trying to figure out, it was worth being there in person. But there were a number of people there by Zoom, and that's an acceptable way to participate too. So that helps a lot too. I think that's worth considering. Yeah, Kelly.
I was just on your line of thinking. It says right in the AGM that the next meeting is in Lac La Biche with no electronic opportunity.
Oh,
so you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And to add, Margaret Plumtree is executive director, and I don't believe there was an executive director back in the day. Right. So that's a nice addition as well, because that'll keep focus for the elected officials.
Yeah, I think that's good perspective, and I mean, there's a number of ways you could try to have influence with regard to that highway corridor, but this is what's organized. I think it's worth being part of it and adding our support to it if council agrees with that. I think sitting out isn't going to have any positive influence at all, so I think it's worth being part of that for the opportunity. If someone is prepared to, go ahead, Adina.
Well, I'm prepared to make a motion if that's where you're at.
That's where I was headed. That's excellent.
All right, so I move that the County of Newell join the Veterans Memorial Highway Association with the additional spending of $376.20, and that we, to cover the 2024 prorated costs of membership, and that Councillor Screever be appointed to represent the county at the Veterans Memorial Highway Association.
Okay, excellent. Any further discussion? Greg, you're good with that? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Okay, let's 9.2. Alberta Municipalities Convention, September 22nd, or 25th to 27th. Mariana.
Thank you. I'm just looking to confirm the list of attendees that was determined a while ago. So I have booked the hotel rooms for Councillor Scriver, 2 Councillor Johnsons, and Councillor Chrisman in Red Deer. All the information is on the RFD for this is the Alberta Municipalities Convention, so the urban counterpart of the RMA Convention. Early bird registration is in effect until August 16th. So I'm just looking for you to confirm the attendees, and then we'll follow up and do registrations.
Okay, thank you, Ariana. Greg?
I went last year. I don't know if it replaced Dan. I'm not 100% sure, but I went with, who did we all go? Amanda and Ellen, myself and Adina, right? Yeah, so it was to replace Dan. So I was Dan at that meeting, so maybe Dan could be me at this meeting.
I don't mind playing Greg.
I'd have to put some Grecian formula in my beard, but other than that.
So, okay, you're good with that, Dan?
Let me just look at my schedule one more time.
Okay,
make
well,
sure
that's
that I'm
those are
around.
details that can be worked out at the time too, right? Okay, let's, there's not a motion required. I think it's a matter of awareness, and if you'll commiserate with Ariana to let her know what's needed for hotel rooms, right? That's the issue on this. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ariana. Let us move on to Mr. Todd Green is in the room, and it's almost 9:15. We'll be back on schedule if you take a chair. Welcome, Todd. We look forward to your presentation regarding ASB. And
good morning. Thank you for having me. I think all I have on here is just the letter from the EID that you all received regarding our Brome Control program and some suggestions they had for future programming. Matt and I took the opportunity to get together with the EID and just outlined what our program is, what our plans are. The EID outlined to us what their program is and how they manage their own Brome infestations. And I thought it was a very productive meeting. I think both sides learned a little bit about what either was doing, and I feel like it's probably warranted to send a letter back to their board outlining that as well. So I'm hoping that everybody took the opportunity to read our letter, and if there's any suggested edits, we'd be happy to hear them, as well as if there's any, further discussion, happy to hear that as well.
thanks, Todd. It looks to me like they maybe didn't understand what the county's initiative this over many years already, correct? It was a learning experience for them probably too?
Yeah, I think so. Right in their letter, they outlined that our municipality tends to be a little bit better compared to some of our neighbors in regards to Brome populations. And I think that is the foresight of somebody in the early 90s, right? Mm-hmm. The people well before me took the opportunity to elevate Brome to a noxious weed in 1994. And that led us to where we are today, being a little bit better.
Yeah, no, that's good. Appreciate that, Todd. Holly and then Kelly, please.
Morning, Todd. I guess I was just kind of wondering if I knew the EID had a program, obviously, because we work with them, and I knew the county had a program, obviously. I'm just wondering how there was never any cooperation previously. It just seems surprising that there was not a joint venture sooner. Can you explain that?
Cooperation in what regard?
Well, just in terms that they didn't seem to know that we had a program and the county seemed to know that they had a program. So that just seems surprising to me.
Yeah, we've worked with the EID pretty consistently over the years. Maybe not as much specific to a certain location, but I've worked with Rick before. I've been out with him on fire guards and in the Rolling Hills area and other areas as well. Maybe they just didn't know the extent of our noxious weed programming. And I think that's maybe where we all learned a little bit. You know, we outlined to them that we do GPS populations for them, and we are managing some populations for them that we're not willing to allow to expand. And I think we've talked about that before with a couple or with one leafy spurge patch that we manage for them. And, you know, there's just, those are the kinds of things that we maybe weren't discussing as much in recent years. We used to send them, and this is back probably, I don't know, the first 5 or 6 years that I worked here. We used to send them a weed list every year, and that weed list would outline, you know, areas that we wanted control to occur. And then we stopped doing that over the years when they were doing the control work. And then we started doing the stuff that we noted they didn't do the amount we wanted, so.
Okay, I think that highlights the importance of communication too from, yeah, that's just good. Kelly, you had a comment? And then
I did.
Lynette.
Todd, can you describe to us lay people who are not weed professionals how we can identify the difference between good grass and bad grass? Once I've seen it. I've seen it on the internet. I did my homework and
Walk around Brooks. There's lots of places you can see it around places in Brooks. It's all over the place,
Is
yes.
that right? Okay, so I just need to, can you describe it to anybody that might be listening when it's a bad patch?
Well, every patch of Downey Brome is technically a bad patch. But probably the best way to describe it, early in the spring, you're going to notice it greens up first. So typically Downey Brome acts as a winter annual. So it germinates in the fall and it starts early in the spring. So you're typically going to see it greening up first as soon as the ground is even relatively thawed. It kind of sits there in that green foliage state, sending nutrients down to its roots, and then it grows. When it heads out, it has very drooping panicles. So it's got from the stem of the Downey Brome to the seed head, it's got a big droop. So it kind of looks like it's hanging over, and it turns silver as it starts to mature, and then it gets purplish red after that before it turns completely brown in, early July.
It kind of looks like frail brome grass, doesn't it?
Kind of. It is. It is.
Seed is like a brome grass plant, but it looks frail.
It is, and
Yeah.
I would say it's maybe a little bit like Japanese brome and Downey Brome. Both their seed heads are the seeds are heavy, so that they kind of hang down. Where other brome grasses tend to stand up a little bit more.
Okay.
Maybe.
And at what point is that seed? Is it at the golden color or at the purple color is that seed?
It's best to control it before it leaves its kind of silvery hue.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a question. Do we invite the EID to our weed school?
I do believe we do.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question. Adina just said, does anybody attend?
I'd have to look at the registration sheets. I don't know.
Greg?
So, Todd, if it's a problem in Brooks, should we be looking into a relationship with Brooks?
We have that relationship. Yeah. And we do, so we have for probably, let's just say 10 years, we do the weed inspection services for the city of Brooks. So we knock on doors, we talk to landowners, we work with businesses, we maintain city of Brooks properties, all under contract. They pay us for all of those services.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Holly, please.
I know you guys work hard to kind of control things in the city of Brooks. I'm wondering if taking out an ad in the paper with a picture of it, because then there's lots of people who walk around who might be interested in pulling weeds if they saw it, if they knew. I know you guys are working hard, but you can get people in the city interested.
The more eyes looking for every noxious, prohibited noxious weed is benefit to us. Absolutely.
Okay, I think we have a request for decision with regard to sending the letter that is posted or the proposed for us, and I appreciate the tone of that letter as well. To two things, I think highlights. I think there's acknowledgement of the fact that our region has less Downey Brome than our neighboring regions, and also I think you've well outlined the foresight that was brought to the table years ago by our predecessors, and I appreciate that, and also the tone of the letter that highlights some of that, and the fact that there is quite a bit of activity going on, and we'll continue that into the future. So we need a motion to approve that request for a decision if we'd like it. First, Holly, you've got a comment, and then Kelly.
Well, I was going to say, with sending a letter to landowners, if people or crop people, the Downey Brome doesn't affect them nearly as much as those who have grass. So I think the understanding for landowners or how it's going to affect everybody is critical, because I think they just don't understand the long-term ramifications. Outside of that, I would make a motion to send the letter.
Okay, we have a motion to move forward with the request for decision to send a letter. The other thing that I think is highlighted in the letter is the importance that we place on working together with landowners, because that's how you get positive results as opposed to using other tools that might be in the toolbox, which are only used when they're needed. So I appreciate that emphasis in the letter too. So all in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Todd. I've got one other question for you. You were doing the roadside mowing and that kind of thing, right? Where are you at with that this year? I mean, it's a different year than last year in terms of, I noticed coming in, we got 2 feet of grass beside the road, which is good to see. That's a good problem to have, but obviously the mowing is more dynamic than it was last year, I expect. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just interested to know where you're at with that.
Yeah, my apologies. I hadn't anticipated being here, so I didn't put an ASB update on the agenda. But so roadside spraying is almost done, and we are spraying on the north side of the #1 highway this year. So all the roads on the north side, and it usually works out timing wise. Then the roadside mowers come in about a week after they're tied up. So the mowers are one's in the Tilly area, one's in Castles, and one is south of Bazzano. So the mowers are on the south side of the #1. They'll be jumping over probably, I doubt next week, but probably the week after they'll be jumping across the #1. So you should see them in the next 3 weeks, almost throughout the whole north. When you talk about the length of the grass, they're going way slower and doing a way worse job.
Yeah.
Usually, well, I shouldn't say usually, but in recent years, we've been able to really go quite fast roadside mowing, and it's been doing a great job because the grass was kind of dried out. This year, it's tall, it's lush, it's thick. And yeah, an amazing problem to have, but it's really wreaking havoc on mower blades, gearboxes, clutch plates, a lot of things. But we'll get there.
So what do you do? Like, do you plan to mow some roadsides twice then on a
We
year
do.
like this? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because some years you don't have to, eh?
Our program, so the policy outlines we're going to do everything at least 1.5 times. So when you think about, 1,500 miles of road, we're going to mow about 2,500 miles, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be back mowing the south as soon as we're done mowing in the north. And then usually what happens is, because we've sprayed in this instance, the north road sides, they'll be a little bit more dried out. They won't regrow as bad because the chemical does have, it just hurts the grasses a little bit at the industrial rates.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. And you don't do the provincial highways.
We don't mow them.
No.
We spray them.
Spray them, but
under contract.
The mowing
yeah.
of the three numbered or the provincial highways is the responsibility of
Volkersteven. Yeah.
So I just raised that because I expect, if you notice how the grass is growing, we'll probably get, I mean, I haven't had any, but I imagine there'll be concerns about it because it's a pretty good problem to have, actually.
Yeah, we've received a few concerns, not just for local roads, but also for secondary highways, just that the mowing crews haven't got there yet. And maybe that's part of the secondary highways too. They're just going a little slower this year.
Sure. Yeah, no, understandable. Thanks for that update. Appreciate it. Todd, any other questions? Ellen, please.
Do you switch north and south every year? You do?
Yeah, we do. So the even years, we spray north of the number one, and we mow first south of the number one, and odd years is the other way. And oddly enough, just the way the number one runs through, the amount of miles of road on one side and the other is pretty close to the same, within like 3%. It's so it works, and that's a program that's been like that again before me, but somebody smart decided that.
Okay, it's good. Thanks, Kelly. Go ahead.
Just to shed a light on Emerson Bridge, how are things out there? It looks pretty nice. I was out for a visit.
Yeah, I've heard it looks really good. One of our past employees, you guys might remember Rod Rosland, he had to stay out there, and he messaged to tell the crew that they're doing an amazing job. So Rod, he sends accolades lots, and we appreciate him, but that's good to hear. I haven't been out in a while. It's a little slower than we'd probably like. We haven't had as many people enjoying the park as we would like to see. Certainly slower than last year, but now it's the time when families are more apt to do their traveling with the kids out of school. So hopefully we'll see an increase.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Holly, go ahead.
Just following up on that, do we know if camping is decreasing in interest, or is it a financial? We had someone at the Scandia Park who's going to move their trailer out, not because of rates of the trailer. He said it's the cost of driving to and from Calgary. He doesn't want to drive that far. He thinks financially, we thought that's not very far, but I'm just curious if you're hearing stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't heard it specifically, but I think leisure and recreation in general are kind of the first things to go when you get a tighter budget. I don't know. Emerson kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. It's significantly higher than the usage of the park is significantly higher than what it was, 15 years ago. But it's just, I don't know. We pump a lot of money in there. We want everybody to see it and stay there and have a great time. So it's never really enough for us, if you know what I mean. Not financially, just we want everybody to know it's there and enjoy it.
Thank you. Adina, please.
Since we're on the topic of Emerson Bridge, I noticed when we were out there, the bulletin board at the front entrance, when you go there, could maybe use some updating, because there's some very faded pictures of snakes and an old pamphlet about prices, and also a lot of COVID information. And I was just wondering if maybe we could put some stuff like, while you're in the area, there is the aqueduct, the EID park, something like that, just to promote the other attractions in the area. Something I was thinking about.
It's a great suggestion.
Thanks, Kelly.
If you're open to suggestions. What would it cost for an old-fashioned water spray park out there? Like an old-fashioned one that adults can, like a hose? Well, not quite that old, but just, I don't know. It's a hot, dry area. There is a nice little beach area, but just a thought, and I don't want to pay for it, but no, I'm kidding. I'm just saying, maybe someday pie in the sky, a nice spray park.
Would that be something you'd want me to do a little bit more research on? I wasn't planning on going to your Monday budget meeting, but we could have something for September to look at.
Just future.
Yeah.
Let's just put it on the wall.
A little bit of more entertainment for down there for families and stuff.
Yeah.
And a dog track? Pump? What's a pump track? Oh, for bikes. Okay.
Okay, anything else for Todd? Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item number 9.3, councillor payment sheets. Is there anything that needs attention there, other than a motion of acceptance for the payment sheets as presented? Someone prepared to make a motion? Dina, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, acceptance of the councillor payment sheets. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9.4, requests for functions of council. What do we have there? Pardon me? Right. Communities in Bloom is July 18th, and there's an invitation to the mix and mingle at the engineer's house. Kelly, go ahead, please.
As a previous attendee, let's keep in mind that the event or the venue is very small, so limited access. What we've done in the past is send one counselor to this event, and I think that should be sufficient. This is not a huge event.
Right, and I have a ticket, complimentary ticket on my desk.
There you go.
And have said that I would attend, so if that's acceptable.
I would say that would be sufficient.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do we need a motion on that, or is it, I think we just understand that, right? Okay, I will plan to do that. If for some reason I can't make it, I will talk to someone else to attend on our behalf. Secondary 9.4.2 Matthias Ranch or Research Ranch Field Tour on July 24th. What is your pleasure there? We have an invitation to attend. Holly, go ahead.
I would see value in going to that. I don't know how everybody else feels. It's a cool thing in our area, and be good for us to gain some knowledge on what we have.
I would agree with that. How do you want to handle it? Do you want to send a couple of people, or Neil, go ahead?
Yeah, I guess we're sending a couple people just for PR with the university. And it's short courses are always good.
Sure. That's okay. Lynette?
I'd make a motion that anybody can go that would like to go, I would think.
Okay. I think that makes some sense because it's right in our backyard. And all in favor of that motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.
Register with Ariana.
So yeah, if you let Ariana know, she can register. Pardon me?
Can we just do a show of hands?
Oh, sure. All in favor?
No, who wants to go? Just so she can have
Good.
make
Thanks,
it
Holly.
easier than us running to Ariana individually.
Who would like to go or intend to go? 2, 5 of us, and I'll probably be there for the day 2 or part of the day, but I'm going on my own. So yeah, but I will not be part of the, yeah.
You're different?
No, we have some connection to running cattle there anyway, so yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? What else do we have for functions of council? Yeah, Matt, maybe you can.
Ariana had circulated, and this looks like a new one, the Emergency Expo Conference in Ottawa, September 24th to 26th. There is early bird pricing for a few more days here, so if there's any interest in attending that, looked like a pretty good long list of speakers and sessions, a little bit of travel, but it doesn't hurt to cut your teeth on some emergency management from time to time. You hope to never use it, but when you need it, it's good to have had some exposure to it.
I'll speak to that. That came to my email a few days ago, not that long ago either, but I'm also, as our representative to emergency management in the county, I would be interested in going to that just to see what's going on in that field, and also to I've had some background in livestock emergency management over the years, and it's surprising how I mean, I'm not sure the dynamic of this one, and I have sent out a text to a few people to see where this fits, but it's certainly a big enough there's a lot of activity from all across Canada in terms of attendance, so I would be interested in going if council is supportive of that. Partly because it's all connected to they're connecting, I think, climate adaptation and that kind of thing too, and it's the kind of thing that we can leave it to somebody else, but if we don't know what's going on, we're ignorant of it often. So, Greg, go ahead.
When is that again?
It's in September, 24th to 26th of September in Ottawa.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
It's a significant, like in terms of time and travel, it's not insignificant. Go ahead, Holly.
I would make that motion for you to attend, Arno.
Okay. Any further discussion? And I will say that I'm going to be I'll try to do some research to see if it's something that we might, two things, get value from or be able to have input on with regard to how they approach it. Neil?
Do you want to send another one with you? Wouldn't hurt. Two people is better than one.
Yeah. Greg?
It's the same time as the what is it, AUMA? That's what I call it anyway. Yeah. But I would be interested in going to that. I think because I have a different perspective. You have the ranching and the farming perspective. I have more of a municipality, like a hamlet connection. So I don't know. I think it would be pretty interesting, but I know that it's costly. So.
Yeah, what's our your motion is for one or two people? What's it's up to council. Kelly, please.
So I think we should check the budget. This is a new, probably $6,000 expense at least.
Yep.
So do we have budget for it?
Yeah, the councilor budget is more than sufficient to cover. We're typically underspent in that each year.
There's a couple of things about this that I think are, and I'm still trying to figure out how significant it is. But for one, emergencies, like there's a definition of emergencies, and sometimes there's emergencies that aren't emergencies, and I think some grassroots input in some of that is maybe a possibility, and the other thing is some of the climate adaptation that is tied into all of this. I don't think it hurts for us to have some awareness of that. This is evidently not the only place you'd get that, but and I'm not sure of the dynamic of the organization, but it is significant. Like if you look at what they're doing, I'm not sure where the sponsorship comes from, but it's from a very, probably Government of Canada for one thing. But I think it's it's worth considering at least, So what is our motion? Kelly and then Holly.
So you don't think we will get this eventually through RMA? Like, RMA is our Canada educator, right? They are the arms and the ears for local municipalities. You don't think we would eventually grab this information through them?
I expect we may eventually, but I also know that from various perspectives, and I don't know. I mean, that's up to council to make that judgment call. We won't know if we don't go. Is one thing, and I'm not saying that's the main argument for going, except that the other thing is that rural municipalities or municipalities generally are at the front line of responses to emergencies. I mean, we've seen that with fire, we've seen that with a variety of other initiatives, and those are often local, but where they are broader, it's still the local municipality that needs to be able to respond to that, and that's some of the dynamic around, I'm not suggesting this should be an annual thing. I'm just trying to think that we should maybe pay attention to what's going on there. Neil?
Is there a motion on the table right now?
There is. What's the motion? It's for...
The motion was for you to go, Arno. So I do think input is important that we have for this conference. I'm not opposed to two people going. I think that, Arno, given your role that you're on emergency management, it makes the most sense for you to go. As for a second person, I'd be curious to know if who else would be interested, as it is a big trip. Before we, I certainly am not, but just seems everybody else is interested in who has the best fit for the roles they play on council.
Okay, and Greg has indicated an interest in going. Neil?
Yeah, I think that, as Greg was saying, him and you probably have a different perspective, and it's good to have every idea there. And I don't mind the county being involved and stepping out of our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So 2 people to Ottawa, if we've got the budget, we haven't spent it, I do not have a problem with 2 people going.
Okay, further discussion? Go ahead, Lynette.
My thinking is 1 is probably enough, especially when it's a lot of this is fact-finding mission to see how well we could fit into this and if this is the thing to follow and the organization, and to know what's all behind it as well, like who's actually running all of it. Like you said, you don't know who funds it. It would be nice to know those things too.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? The motion was for, we need to get that clear. We can always, let's say for 1 person to go.
I'll make the motion for Arno to attend. I think I changed it, but I'll go back to Arno attending.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Opposed? Okay, that's carried. Now, do we want to have a second person attend? I think that's up to us. What's your feeling on that? Neil and then Ellen.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt. Like I said, we have 2 different points of view. Two people get 2 different things out of a convention, and I trust both of you. But yeah, I do not have a problem with Greg going to.
You make that motion?
Yeah, we'll try it.
Okay. Further discussion, Ellen?
I kind of agree with Lynette, since it's in Ottawa, it's quite a ways away, that probably 1 person can bring back the information and share with council.
Okay, any further discussion? Dan, please, go ahead.
2 people, I agree with that sentiment. 2 people is better than 1 because, yeah, 2 different points of view. But I think it's too expensive of a conference to be going to. But it also, if you are going to send 2, I think maybe it should be choice for anybody else that might want it. I do agree with that. Rather than just picking one at random. Perhaps Greg's the only one that wants to go, but I think we should be putting it out there for everyone to have an opportunity. But if we decide to send two anyways.
Okay, the motion on the floor is for Greg to go. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate. The motion. Opposed? Okay, that's defeated. Is there any other action we want to take with regard to this? Okay. Thank you. We will we'll continue to try to determine the validity of, or the dynamic of some of this as we go forward. Time is short on it. Okay, let's move on. Is there any other functions of council? Anyone have anything? Seeing none, we'll move on. Mr. Mark Harbrink, welcome. Pardon me. How long will we be, Mark? We're going to take a break.
Did you read my report? That's about as long as it'll need to take if necessary.
Let's take 5 minutes. You don't have somewhere you need to be. Okay, let's take 5 minutes and we'll Mark, please, go ahead. Municipal Services Business.
Well, good morning, Council. So just highlights from the report. You can see that officers have been a little more active in the field there with spring and summer. 20 warnings, 16 tickets after 52 investigations over the past period. Working in conjunction with the EID, definitely on the AIS program. Some reports from the province there, what's been caught at the border as well. So trying to protect infrastructure with the Eastern Irrigation District in our region for water systems. Fleet services, we've been receiving some of the enterprise fleet changeover, so the red color of the trucks that are in that program have changed. They're more of a deeper red with metallic, just so council's aware of that. Not trying to hide from anybody or change it up. That's enterprise places the order for red. We defined red, that's the red that showed up. So with that, waiting on 2 new graders still, July and August. I haven't had an update on that timeline. It seems like it should still be happening in July and August. Grader operators, obviously the dust abatement program was key in June. They got that done in 13 days. Kind of looked like it was going to take upwards of 16 with how many kilometers of road they were going to have to treat. But they did an excellent job. Everything went off without a hitch, and probably one of the most productive, efficient years that we've had on things. So waiting to see how the program costs roll in after this. Otherwise, 2.6 rotations of road grading were done at the end of June at the preparation of this report for the season so far. Truck drivers, they've completed 17% of the gravel road program. So that's going along well. And what else we got? Maintenance, maintenance activities, maintaining signs, getting out there, taking care of all that, bridge decks, weed trimming, line eating, whatever you want to call it, around signs and things that we take care of in municipal services. We've advertised a request for proposal for hopefully a more efficient way of getting gravel out of the gem or ballast pit. We drive approximately an extra 18 kilometers coming out of there to get gravel down south from where we are. And hopefully we can find something that would do better. This isn't the first time this surfaced. It was at the beginning of my tenure with the County of Newell when we first talked about this. It really didn't go very far. We'd really like to see if there can be another way that we can approach council with and do better for our ratepayers for costs.
That's round trip?
I want to say round trip, yes. CNWP, so letters have been mailed out for registered locations on contract 2. So flow emitters have been leaving this office and people have been getting coordinated with NRSC to get their water activated. Otherwise, contract 3 continues under construction, still with an end date of October, and contract 4 construction's in progress, and encourage everybody to stay up to date on the webpage with that. Fisher Bridge structure was finally repaired and the weight restriction removed June 17th. As I remind council, there were some hiccups in getting fabrication of new parts and straightening of parts. Delays with that before getting it restored because we were hoping sooner than that. Tilly landfill closure continues. Crack sealing was completed. Waiting for the line painters now to show up and get started with that. Kinbrook Connection Pathway Partnership. Got some good news from the contractor. Seems they might be getting started as early as next week because they're getting the pathway staked out and whatnot. So a couple weeks in advance of what we were shared a month ago. Lake Newell Resort Pathway, we continue with engagement with landowners to secure land for the alignment and partnership on drainage. They did get phase 2 constructed. So working on wrapping that up. Phase 3, working on that, along with some land acquisition that's outstanding. And as far as I know, the EID is busy surveying down in the Rolling Hills territory where Council and EID Board directed us to move to next. Other than that, you can see from the municipal load report that we're doing not too bad. We're 6% up on the year-end forecast for compared to the previous year. But if you look overall, we're holding on to the 3 and 5 year trend. We're definitely not increasing in activity in our region. So if there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
Thank you, Mark. Are there questions? Go ahead, Holly, please.
Hi, Mark. So I was looking up the water line stuff last night, and I couldn't really find much on the website. I think there's another area I'm missing, but I know it said in there that the whole project was going to be completed in spring of 2024. So is it just the frequently asked questions? Is that pretty much all the information, or something else that I just couldn't find?
I'll have to dig into that one then. I know with the new website and stuff, I don't know if we've got it as clear as we could, but give me some time to review that and get back to you, because Jeff should be keeping those up to date.
Okay. And secondly, on the EID drainage, is the funding or the spending going to be less this year, given that there wasn't as much planned out, or has it been more
Yes.
that's come forward?
Yes, we'll be well under budget from what we were.
Okay, thank you. Ellen, please.
Mark, I noticed that our municipal enforcement department's primary focus in July will be, among other things, impaired driving. Are our officers equipped to see if a driver is impaired?
Well, with the impairment, it's always a matter of whether the motorist is showing that they're paying attention, they're not distracted. So generally what they find is somebody is distracted. If they find something with impairment or whatever, they might have to call in the RCMP to assist with that. That's how that works. That traffic safety calendar we follow that, but when it comes to the impaireds, we do have to consult with RCMP and have them respond. So we say that's still the primary focus, but they're working on the others just as much, so.
Okay, thank you. Holly, please.
I was curious, there was 52 investigations of the last month. So what are the investigations are they primarily doing?
Any and every type of call that public submits to us, they have to conduct an investigation. So go out, see what somebody's reported, determine whether it's unfounded or there is actually something to deal with.
Okay, thank you. Dan, go ahead.
The crack sealing on the roads, what roads?
All
have been
pavement.
done?
All
All of it?
pavement. Yeah. So unless something's been missed, we haven't been out to check that yet, but unless something's grossly been missed. So everything and anything in your hamlets, everything on county paved roads. But remember, that does not include 3-digit highways and primaries.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That question was the dynamic of crack sealing? Is that what Dan asked?
No, I was just asking what asphalt roads have been crack sealed.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's good to highlight that, because there's an ROI on that for the county. I mean, I think we've heard that before, and that's good to know that our paved roads last longer statistically because they get crack-filled, sealed judiciously. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just further to that, on the technicality side of things, the County of Newell does a cold pour crack seal every year, which differs from a hot pour.
Right.
Hot pour crack sealing, you'll see contractors out there with a router. They're not making cracks, they're widening the crack for the filler to go into it, so it creates a reservoir. It is how it works. Most urban centers use it. A hot pour is generally a 5 to 7 year treatment, where a cold pour, you do it every single year. And it's just that mechanism for keeping water out of the road base and shedding. And that's what you see when cracks start to widen is the moisture's getting into that, or even sitting there, and traffic drives through it. Then it starts to look like a pothole as well, right? So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mark. Any other questions? Kelly, go ahead, please.
Probably an Newell Regional Water question, but maybe you can answer. Do you know anything about the break west of Rosemary on the weekend?
All I know is that there was a break. It was relatively close to where the previous break was from a few years back, and that's all I know about it.
Okay, thank you.
Just to close the loop, it is fixed now, and it was fixed very quickly, so that's appreciated.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, a motion. Dina, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the report as presented.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Let's move, it being just after, 7 minutes after 11, it looks like. Let's move to item number 7.1. Welcome, Victoria, from Grasslands FCSS, present a report and also your strategic plan, I believe, right? Time is yours. Now, should we have introductions? I think we should.
We
do that.
definitely can. Before I sit down and get cozy, I do have paper copies of the report. If anyone would like one, I'm happy to pass them around.
Okay, anyone want a paper copy, or do we have we have the electronic as well, so yeah.
Perfect.
With that, let's have introductions. We'll start with Neil, please.
Good morning. I'm Neil Johnson from Division 10 around Brooks.
Good morning, Victoria. Nice to see you. Amanda.
Good morning, Ellen Undra, and I represent Division 7 around the village of Rosemary.
Hi, good morning. Greg Screever, Division 5, Lake New Resort and Castles.
Good morning, Victoria. I'm Kelly from the west side.
Arno Dirksen from Division 9, the Gem area. Welcome, Victoria. Go ahead.
Welcome, Matt Fensky, CAO.
Good to see you, Victoria.
Hello, Adina Scandrip, Division 2, the area around the hamlet of Tilly.
Hi, Lynette Kopp, Division 3, Patricia Millicent areas.
Catherine Siaklik, Communications Officer.
Ariana Nielsen, Executive Assistant.
Sandra Stanway, Brooks Bullets.
On the screen, we have
It's
Dan
Dan
Short.
Short from Southwest Edmonton, representing Division 1, Rolling Hills.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, welcome, Victoria. The time is yours.
Thank you all for having me today. So today I'm here to present the FCSS strategic plan. We had our board meet in February of this year, and we developed a new strategic plan for the next 4 years. We're really excited to present this to council. We have a lot of great changes rolling out of FCSS, and we wanted to make everyone aware of kind of where we're heading in the future. So with that being said, I will jump right into it. If I lose you in the track of the pages, it's because I'm jumping around, not because you didn't flip a page fast enough. So just some highlights from our organization. FCSS as a regional entity was formed in 2004. We have updated our mission and vision statement this year. So our new mission and vision statement hold the same spirit as our old mission and vision, but they are kind of condensed. Our vision and mission were very wordy before. So our mission now is to collaborate with local organizations and foster an environment of social well-being and inclusion for individuals, families, and communities. And our vision is to play a key role in building safe, inclusive communities where all residents thrive. We want to foster a sense of pride, belonging, and respect for diversity in all forms across the region. Some fun facts about FCSS. We've been in operation for 20 years this year, and during that time we've served over 330,000 individuals. We've funded over 40 agencies and handed over $4.7 million in funding to the community, and that doesn't count any programs that we've done internally or anything like that. Throughout our time, we've served over 57,000 Meals on Wheels and helped the community facilitate 305,000 volunteer hours. Our organization structure is comprised of representatives from each of the municipalities involved in the regional agreement. So from the City of Brooks, we have Councillor Marissa Wardrop and Member-at-Large Angela de Blasio. Our representatives from the County of Newell are Councillor Amanda Philpott and Councillor Holly Johnson. And then the Village of Dutchess, we have Councillor Tina Preston and Member-at-Large Vienna Dahl. And Village of Rosemary, we have Councillor Yoko Fujimoto and Member-at-Large Danielle Ranke. Tina Preston acts as our board chair, and Holly Johnson is our vice chair on the board. And we appreciate all of the support that we get from all of our municipalities. Having two representatives from each municipality adds a nice ability for everyone to have their own input on the programs that FCSS does. So over the next 4 to 5 years, we hope to achieve 5 different goals. Our first goal is being viewed as a key organization in the communities that we serve. And what that means to us is when anyone thinks of a project that they want to start in their community, they think, oh, how do I get that going? They come to FCSS and they search out guidance from us, whether it be looking for funding, looking for support, or finding the right people to make projects happen. We're kind of hoping to be that first door that people go to. A lot of that will happen through making sure we're promoted throughout the region, people are understanding and aware of what FCSS does, and just increasing our community presence. Previously, we had done a lot of handing out funding to other agencies, and people weren't always aware of the fact that FCSS was here to support them. So we're trying to do some more internal programs, spread our name throughout the region a little bit more, and just increase that awareness of what we are doing for the community. Our second goal is to provide increased supports for families. When we look at our outcomes that we report on to the provincial government, they come in 3 streams. Any program that we do has to either support the well-being of an individual, a family, or a community. Lots of the programs that we currently support do have families that benefit from them, but they don't fall in that family outcomes category. They really fall under the benefiting the well-being of an individual. So we're looking to fund some more programs that kind of fall in that family outcomes stream. Through doing that, we might look at doing a request for proposal to the community for gaps that we see, and then also offering our own internal programming that meets that need, low cost, easy to access for residents. And our goal is that any programs that we do can be duplicated throughout the region. So if we host something in the city of Brooks, we can also take that out to Rosemary, Dutchess, any of the smaller communities in the county that might want those services. And then our third goal is to become more directly involved in community programs, which I've touched on in the last 2 goals. We want to incorporate a lot more direct programs and services from our office. Again, we handed out a lot of funding before, but we are doing more direct programs. We did some mental health kits for mental health first aid kits for Mental Health Week this year. We also tried to host a speed friending event. And for Seniors Week, we partnered with Seniors Outreach to host a lunch. So just some of those fun events that we can do to increase awareness and get more people to come to our internally hosted events. Then we're going to continue building strong relationships with all of our funded partners. Although we're still hoping to do more internal events, it doesn't mean we're going to eliminate that funding stream. So our board has committed to working with our funded partners closely instead of just having me be the bridge between the two. Every funded partner that we have has a board member who's connected with them, and they're welcome to do a shadowing with that program. So they would go in for about an hour, look and see and understand how that program operates, and then they could report back to their municipal councils, to our board, and just increase that awareness of how the money that FCSS invests in the community is benefiting the community. And then we want to make sure we have more ways to meet the needs of our residents, so consulting with individuals and communities and stakeholders, making sure we're finding those gaps in social services and helping fill them, whether it be through funding or internal programs. And then our fourth goal is to provide more targeted mental health services. We do a lot of mental health services within the city of Brooks already, but a lot of those don't represent the communities that we have out in the rural areas where farming and ag is quite predominant, or we have seniors trying to age in place who are struggling. So we thought offering some mental health services that target some of those gaps that we've already identified would be really helpful. And then our fifth goal is to deliver more supports in rural areas. So again, anything that we offer in the city of Brooks internally, we would like to be able to duplicate in all of those rural communities that want that kind of service. This year, we have a youth summer volunteer program, and we were excited to be able to deliver that program for 1 week in Dutchess throughout the summer. So it's just the beginning, but we're hoping to be able to do more things like that in the future as well. Making sure that individuals in rural communities have access to the things that they need is another goal of ours. And that may look like helping them have access to transportation and home care. Some of those things aren't necessarily under the FCSS mandate, but we can help advocate for increasing those services in those rural areas. Well, we can't provide them ourselves. We can collect data, we can report to the government, and just, again, advocate for having an increased service that we might need in the rural areas. We're really dedicated to fostering resilient communities throughout the region. We want to offer innovative programs that are targeted to address the unique needs of each community. We do have a really diverse region, and the needs of the city of Brooks are different than the needs of the county or the villages. And we just want to specifically, I guess, recognize and celebrate all of the differences throughout our region and make sure that we have programs that are tailored to meet the needs of everyone in our community. And then that is the overview of what we are doing for the next 4 years. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Victoria. Are there any questions? Lynette, please.
Kind of a two-part thing. You talk about funded partners as well as, okay, that was listed on the one page. And where does your money actually come from?
For sure. So your question is, who are our funded partners? We fund agencies like SPEC, Seniors Outreach. Through SPEC, we fund two different programs, the Community Links program and the Makerspace. Seniors Outreach, we fund a seniors tea and social program for them. We also provide funding to, let me think off the top of my head, Life Talk, we provide a counseling subsidy for them. We provide funding to the Brooks Toy Library to run some of their programs, and there's a few others that are just slipping my mind right now, but we have about 9 funded partners that receive core funding, so that's any amount over $5,000. We've also introduced a microgrant funding stream this year, which is amounts $5,000 or less, and we've handed out, I believe, 21 of those already this year. So they've gone to events like the Brooks and District Resiliency Day, the Youth Summer Kickoff. We also fund GEM Home Support, Duchess 50 Plus Club, Rosemary New Horizons. We've given some funding to Long Game Fitness out in in Duchess, who do programs to enhance leadership in young girls. We've recently funded the Brooks Cadets. Duchess Parent Council has brought in some speakers, so there's a wide variety, and that microgrant funding is meant to be more accessible for community groups that maybe don't need such a large chunk of money or don't know how to complete the FCSS reporting as in depth. It's just an easy way for them to access some funds and enhance their community, and again, spread the word about FCSS. And then where does our funding come from? FCSS is an 80-20 split between the provincial government and the municipalities. So the provincial government looks at the size of our region, the median income, and a couple other factors, and they determine what we are eligible for funding. Then they provide 80% of that funding, and our municipalities provide the other 20%. We are very fortunate that our municipalities also give us a top-up so we can provide some services that don't fall under the FCSS mandate, like Meals on Wheels and some other senior supports programs.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Kelly, go ahead, please.
I just want to congratulate you ending your first year as executive director. Would that be correct?
Yes, it's just about, I guess, just over a year now in June. Time flies.
So you've done some great work so far. I really applaud you on the changes and the evolution that has happened over the past year. That's a lot of work. I do want to suggest, or maybe put the information out there, that one of your funded partners is Bazzano FCSS, and maybe that's information that our ratepayers could know about, and it's not so much work on your end that needs to be done, but I think Bazzano FCSS could maybe in their posters or their advertisement that they could share that Grasslands FCSS does fund their program. So just maybe a conversation with that program, that would be helpful.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kelly. It's actually on our agenda for September for the Grasslands Board to discuss that. We're reviewing all of our 2025 grant applications in September as well. And Bazzano FCSS has always been managed kind of differently. We consider them a grant transfer rather than a funded partner, which we're kind of evolving our thinking on that right now. So it is on the books for us to discuss having them use our logo if we provide funding in the future, and that would be implemented for their 2025 funding cycle. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and congratulations on the new open door policy.
Yes,
that's what I
you.
feel like.
Okay, thank you. Neil.
Yeah, I think you're doing an excellent job, and it's really nice to see that you moved out into the county and recognized agriculture, mental health, that kind of things. That's just super.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil.
Okay, thank you too. I think we recognize that that's a difficult area to address at times. I mean, also to get people's attention or to provide awareness of the fact that there's help where it's needed. When that's a matter sometimes of recognizing that it's needed sometimes too. So appreciate the good work that you do through the, throughout the region, really. Thank you. Holly.
I was just going to share as well that for our annual meeting, Victoria had some of the funded partners and microgrants come and present their what's been happening. It was really meaningful to hear from them what things are happening and the impact it's having. And there is still microgrant funding, and if people are aware of organizations that can help our area, and can apply for funding. It's a great program.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, thank you for coming in this morning and for your presentation and for the continued good work that you do. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you all for the time. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you. Item number 11 is post-agenda items, and there are none, I don't think. There's information presented as per usual. And other than that, a motion that we go in camera, I think, brings us close to the end of our meeting. Ellen, please move that we move in camera. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.